All right, welcome everyone to the PMP preparation course. And today is our first session. We are going to get started with the same. Our first topic is Introduction to PMP. So, just a disclaimer or some ground rules to start with. First of all, please bear in mind that this is not a project management course. Rather, this is a preparation course. This course is intended to help you prepare to take up the PMP examination. All right. So while you are going through this content, please keep in mind that you might have to unlearn certain aspects. I'm not sure how many of you were part of the yesterday's webinar, but I mentioned the same thing. That is something which I have seen, my peers, my mentees, my colleagues making a mistake with, that they think that they already know project management. PMP is a certification from PMI, and they try to analyze and evaluate you on all aspects of project management, not just the aspects that you have been exposed to. So please be ready to unlearn certain aspects, right? And without saying, it goes without saying, please be open for discussion. I would be most happy to take any questions, any comments, concerns from you during the sessions. If you have anything which you would like to park for a later point in time, quick introduction to Techcanvass. Techcanvass is an IT certifications training organization founded in 2011. We are a PMI authorized training provider as well as a IIBA endorsed education provider. Back in 2011, when Techcanvass was founded, since then we have been enabling professionals to get into project management domain as well as get certified as CAPM and PMP certified, candidates, professionals. First of all, before we deep dive into project management or PMP, which certification do you think is the most sought after? Among PMP, Prince2, CAPM, CompTIA, Project Plus, PMP, right? Do you know why? The reason is that PMP is identified and is accepted across the globe. PMP shows that you are a seasoned project manager if you get the PMP certification. And after clearing PMP certification, there is a certain understanding from your employer, from your potential employer, that you have a certain level of expertise and experience in the domain. Prince2 is not accepted globally, is not required globally. CAPM is the introduction, or it is the entry level certification into project management, right? CompTIA Project Plus, that is also not recognized all across the globe. So that is the reason why PMP is so much sought after, right? So after completing PMP certification, there is as big as 25% difference between the median salary in US with employees or candidates or professionals having or holding PMP certification versus not holding a PMP certification. Currently, there are more than 1 million PMP certified professionals all across the globe. And research indicates that the employers will need to fill nearly 2.2 million new project-oriented roles each year till 2027. This means that skilled project managers will always be on high demand, in high demand, right? So that was about PMP. I'm sure you are already aware of that. If in case not, I just wanted to share or give you a gist about why PMP is so important. We need to understand the echo. Now, what is echo? Echo, I mean, a quick introduction or brief about PMI. Project Management Institute is a US-based non-profit organization. And this is an organization who has been involved with project management as a domain for more than 50 years now. Okay. So this is a very, very old organization, and they have been completely dedicated to project management as a domain. But PMP is not their only certification. I'm sure you would have heard about CAPM, which is one of their entry-level certifications, which was introduced much later compared to PMP. PMP was introduced for, I believe, 94 or something. All right. So CAPM is comparatively new when compared to PMP certification. But apart from this, they also have ACP certification, which is Agile Certified Practitioner. They have PGMP certification, which is Program Management. They have PFMP certification, which is Portfolio Management. They have Risk Management certification. They have one, I have forgotten. It was Security Management, I think. Yeah, Security Management certification, right? So they have all sorts of certifications. Now, every single certification has its own set of echo. All right. What is echo? It is basically the exam outline, the examination content outline, the overall syllabus of the examination. Right. So if you want to see what the echo looks like, you can go to PMI website. Registering yourself does not, just a sec, I'm just trying to open the echo on my laptop. Yeah, so if you go to the PMI website, you can register yourself for free until unless you want to register as a member. You need not pay any fees. All right. So this is the content outline. All right, examination content outline. It talks about what the examination content is, what are domains, tasks, enablers. We are going to cover all of this as we move forward. All right, in the upcoming slides. And it also gives you an overview or brief about how the PMP application works, what all is expected, what are the eligibility requirements, how you can, record all the information in your application, what is the fees, the information related to the examination, what is allowed, what is not allowed. Each and every information is there. Okay. For opening this PDF, you need not be a PMI member. You can just Google it and open it. All right. Having said that, first of all, you need to understand what is the syllabus of the examination. Secondly, this echo gets revised every 3 to 5 years. The last time it was revised 2022, right? With this echo, there is less to remember and more to understand. Okay, so try and understand that. Why it says less to remember and more to understand is because with the recent changes in the examination content outline, you are going to come across much more situation-based questions. Okay, situation-based questions, you will come across hotspot questions. How hotspot questions look like? Let me just open up a paint and show you real quick. So let's say that there is this graph, and then it says that this is the baseline, and this is the Sorry. Yeah, this is the baseline, and then this is the performance. Okay. Okay. Not trying to make a perfect graph here, but just trying to make you understand what this might be looking like or how the hotspot questions work. So there are the green line is the baseline, the red line is the project's actual performance. Now, where do you have a breakthrough? Where do you have a profit breakthrough or a budget breakthrough? Where the performances meet? It essentially meets here at this point, correct? Now, hotspot questions are where you have to go and click on that area. Or you might be having 4 or 5 different options and there is this table. Okay, let me just remove this. Excuse me. So there are 4 or 5 options. Okay. And then you have a table, you have a box here, and there's a question written. Based on the question, you have to drag and drop, select these specific options and take them to this area. These kind of questions are also there in PMP nowadays. Okay, so it is not just optional or it is not just MCQs wherein out of the given 4 options you have to choose the correct answer or the best answer. Also keep in mind that this situation is there wherein the question asks what is the best option, which means there are more than one correct answers to that. These kind of questions are also there in PMP nowadays, right? So that is the reason why it says that you have less to remember, more to understand. Understanding from the content outline, understanding from the domain, tasks, enablers point of view, right? Previously, there were 5 domains: initiating, planning, executing, monitoring and controlling, and closing. Now there are only 3 domains: people, process, business environment. All right. Out of that, business environment is the smallest one. The majority of the chunk is covered by the processes. People is somewhere around 40-45%. All right. Now, when I'm talking about domains, what are domains? Let us first understand that. So domains are defined as the high-level knowledge area that is essential to the practice of project management. Okay. I should not have closed this because domain was there as well. Would have been easier. Yeah. Okay, let me open it again. While I'm doing that, first of all, our domains are there: people, process, and business environment, which are the high-level knowledge areas that are essential to the practice of project management as a whole. Within each domain, we have certain tasks. Now, what are tasks? These are the underlying responsibilities of the project manager within each of these domain areas. So, for example, if you have the process domain, in that, creation of the scope document might be one of your tasks. Now, how to create the scope document? There will be an enabler specified in PMBOK. That enabler is nothing but an illustrative example of the work associated with that task, so that you can review, go through the enabler and understand what that particular task entails. So it is kind of a bottom-up approach wherein by doing certain tasks based on the enablers, you will be able to execute that whole domain. Now, for tasks, we also have certain deliverables and tools. Okay, these deliverables and tools are not marked out or called out in the ECHO, in the examination content outline. but they are somewhere related to the tasks that we are performing. Okay, so tools, for example, when you are creating your scope document, one of the tools can be your expert judgment for estimation purposes or for assumption purposes, right? That can be one of your tool or technique when you're using your expert judgment or you're doing your brainstorming. So these are not specified in the echo, which is provided by PMI, but it is part of the tasks. So let me pull back the echo again and show you how these domains are broken up into. So first of all, as I was mentioning, business environment is the smallest one, which carries around 8%. Process is the biggest one, which carries 50%. People is somewhere in the middle with around 42%. So it is still, even though it is in the middle, it is very close to the process area, right? Now, here, if you go to the people domain in the examination content outline, you will see all these tasks are marked out. They are all called out here, right? There are 14 tasks under people domain. You can take your time. You have to go through this. You need to understand this. You need to read through this when you're preparing for your PMP. So I'm not going to spend too much of time on this. This is something that you need to go through. All right. Now, similarly, the process domain, it has all its tasks laid out as well, right? Total of 17 tasks. And then business environment, it has all its tasks, total of 4 tasks. All these tasks, somewhere or the other, is related to the understanding of your domain. Okay. Now, to give you an example of the exam content outline, let me take you to the next slide, wherein, let's say we are talking about, or we are trying to understand the people domain's task, manage conflict. Okay. Now, this is a task, managing the conflict. And what would be the enabler for this particular task? The enablers will say that you need to interpret the source and stage of the conflict, analyze the context of the conflict, and then evaluate, recommend, or reconcile the appropriate conflict resolution solution. So these are the enablers are eventually giving you steps or examples on how you can manage your tasks better. For each of these tasks, what is the eventual deliverable? Either modifying the team charter, which contains your ground rules, or which contains the hygiene factors within the team, or the transparency that we need to carry on, or the communication methods that we are all agreeing to, or we have to also update our RACI matrix. What is our RACI matrix? It is the responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed. So if there's a conflict arising, in that case, maybe 2 people are responsible. That is why the conflict is coming up. Or the 2 people who are in conflict, or 2 or more people for that matter, who are in conflict, everybody is trying to think that they are the accountable person for that particular deliverable. That is why that conflict is coming up, right? So these are our deliverables which will get updated or created based on the manage conflict task. Now, for managing this particular task, what all tools we can use? We can use our conflict management theory. We can use our change management theory, the conflict management models, the conflict resolution strategies, our own emotional intelligence as a leader, as a project manager. We can show empathy towards the involved parties, or we can also use our active listening skills to ensure that we understand where the conflict is coming from. to listen out or to hear out all the parties involved. All right. So this is how now each of these domains are divided and they entail certain tasks. Okay. As I was mentioning in the, as I was showing in the examination content outline, there are a total of 14 tasks in people domain, 17 tasks in process domain, and 5 tasks in business domain, business environment domain. Okay. And the weightages also is something that we have already seen. Now, is there any question at this point in time before we go on to the next slide?
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hi. One question is: do we need to memorize all these tasks, the 14 tasks, and all those? I mean, do we need to memorize each and every task, or it's just we just need to know the knowledge? I mean, knowledge-wise, if we know, that should be enough for the exam, or do we have to memorize each and every task by name and then? Yeah.
You have to basically have an understanding of these tasks.
Okay.
What I advise every time is that when you are going through these tasks, or for that matter, the ITTOs that we have in PMBOK, what are ITTOs? Who can tell me? Have you heard about this ITTO? Okay,
No,
I'll
I
take that.
didn't. I don't know what that is.
Okay.
I think it's input, technique, output, something like that.
Right. So if you have not heard about ITTOs, it is absolutely fine. ITTOs are basically inputs, tools and techniques, and outputs. Okay. So PMI talks about certain types of inputs when used with a combination of certain tools and techniques will give you a certain output. So if you are creating, let's say, again, giving the same example, a scope document, your input will be your business case. Your tools and technique will be your expert judgment or your brainstorming, or even up to a certain extent, your financial, not budgeting actually, your financial evaluation of the business case. And then the output would be the scope document itself. Just giving you a very basic, very generic kind of example, right? Now, every ITTO has a specific flow. Now, the business case can also be used as an input for some other document. Okay. But that does not mean that it will again give you the output of scope document just by using some other tool or technique. Okay. Now, you are creating a project charter, you are creating a project scope document. Okay. Now, project charter, will you use business case, or project scope document you will use business case? First of all, you need to understand the logic behind that. And based on that logic, you will be able to figure out what should be the output using what kind of tools and techniques. Similarly, coming back to the question, do you need to memorize all these tasks or not? It would be good if you can memorize it to a certain extent, but you need not by heart them. Why? Because there is a particular logic and flow to these particular tasks. When you're going through the PMBOK, when you're going through the content, this training content, when you're going through any other preparation book, always keep in mind that you need to create the mental picture of the flow that is happening. With that, if you are able to do that, you will see that everything makes sense. Everything, connects to each other organically. That is where your understanding will come to, or come from rather. Yeah, Rupal, you're saying something?
No, I accidentally clicked on the unmute button. Sorry.
No problem. Okay. Because that is what PMP is all about. PMP certification is all about. It is not going to ask you what you have read in the book. It will present you with a situation and it will ask you to crack that situation as per PMI guidelines. So if you just mug it up, if you just by heart all the content, but you don't understand the logic behind it, you will not be able to apply your practical knowledge to the question, and you will not be able to solve it. Okay, so understanding the flow is much more important, or understanding the logic behind, reasoning behind all these tasks is much more important. Okay, now why these domains are divided like this? Okay, why do we only talk about people, process, and business environment? First, let us understand that. Okay. But before that, considering we were already talking about PMBOK or the preparation books, let us first quickly go through the preparation books. This is a wrong print here. The current edition is 7th edition of PMBOK. Okay. PMBOK is considered to be the underlying reference for PMP examination. It is considered to be the Bible. But as is the case with most of these so-called educational books, or most of these rather professional books, PMBOK is a very, very dry book. It is a very dry subject. To be frank, to be fair, you will not find the enthusiasm or motivation towards reading that book completely. Okay, but at the end of the day, for passing the examination, it is important for you to go through the book. So there is no escaping from reading and understanding PMBOK. What you can do is you can take help from a preparation book separately. I'll get to the preparation books, in the next slide. But before that, PMBOK also has a agile practice guide. Okay, so now what PMI has done is it has combined agile into PMBOK itself. Previously, it used to be a separate book or separate book of knowledge, body of knowledge, sorry. Now they have combined both of them together. So when you are going through the whole PMBOK guide, you are also going through the agile practice guide. These books as a single file you can download from PMI if in case you purchase your PMI membership. Else, you can also go to Amazon or your local bookstore and you can buy this book, hard copy. It is also available in the market, right? It has roughly around 594 pages, somewhere in lines of 600 pages. This PMBOK should be read at least twice, alongside the preparation book that you are going to use, which should again be read at least twice. So 600 plus 600, 1200 pages of PMBOK, 600 plus 600, the preparation book, irrespective of which preparation book you use, it should be somewhere around in lines of 600 pages again. So 600 plus 600, 1200, 1200 plus 1200, 2400, roughly around 2400 pages of content you have to read. That is why it is said that after you complete your preparation training, you would need anywhere from 2 to 2.5 months or maybe 3 months to complete your preparation and then take up the examination. That is the reason this much of time is dedicated or is suggested to be used or to be utilized. All right. Talking about our preparation books, I personally prefer Rita Mulcahy because I used Rita Mulcahy. Currently, the 10th edition is the correct edition for PMBOK. Sorry, for PMP. If you don't want to go with Rita Mulcahy, you can also go with Head First. To be frank, I have liked Rita Mulcahy much more than Head First. Okay, even though both of them are equally helpful, both of them will equally help you understand the concepts. All right. So when the flow should be, first of all, you need to complete your lexicon. What is lexicon? Let me open and show it to you. For lexicon, you need to be registered on PMI. Let me see if I'm already logged in. Okay, no, I am not. So it is asking for you to log in or register. You can go ahead, log in or register. Let me log in with using my credentials and show it to you again. Yeah. So now that I have logged in, I'm able to open the lexicon. Lexicon is nothing but it is the whole list of words, terminologies, jargons, and acronyms that are referred or used throughout PMBOK. Okay, it is in alphabetical order. You can also download this as a PDF copy, or you can refer it directly from the website. For this, you should be registered on PMI. And registration again does not cost you anything. All right. After you have gone through your lexicon, you should go through your PMBOK for the first time with an intent of completely reading the PMBOK, irrespective of the fact whether you are able to retain any information or not that you're reading. Focus only on completing the 600 pages that you have in front of you. Next, go to the preparation book. Start reading it again cover to cover for the first time. By default, even if you don't want to, you will end up retaining some of the information. Then based on that retention, go back and again read your PMBOK for the second time. At that time, you will realize that many of the things have started making sense. That is the time you should create your notes, and you should also write down all the formulas at one particular place. Once that is done, read your preparation book for the second time, verify all your notes are correct or not, and that is when your reading preparation is over. All right. This is how you need to, or you should be planning with your preparation or planning with your reading. Okay. Now coming back to our domains, why these particular domains are divided only specifically to 3 domains. First of all,
quick question.
Yes.
So the PMBOK 6th edition, if you could go back to previous slides, please. So is that what we need to read? Because you said that there is a 7th edition as well, right? So we need to read PMBOK 6th edition only for the exam?
No, you should be reading the 7th edition.
Okay, not the 6th edition, right?
No.
Okay, all right.
I can see Raj's hand is up.
Yes, so on PMI,
Raj, again, your voice is breaking up.
on the PMI lexicon, can you please go over what we have to do exactly there?
Where? Sorry.
On PMI lexicon.
Okay, sure. So you have to just Google lexicon PMI. Okay. Lexicon PMI, click on the link. Now that I have logged in, it will directly open for me. But previously, when I was not logged in, it was asking for me to log in.
Okay.
Once I have logged in, or once I have registered myself and then logged in, this particular page will open up.
Okay.
Why I advise you to go through the lexicon is because there are many jargons, many terminologies that you might be reading for the first time. And if you keep on going back and forth between the lexicon, it is also there on in the PMBOK as an appendix. But what happens is if you keep on going back and forth, your flow of reading takes a hit. So it would be more advisable if you can go through the lexicon first and then go and start reading your book.
Okay, makes sense. Thank you.
No problem. I see one more hand up. Suyog.
Yeah. So I was just asking, which is the current version of Head First PMP?
Head first, I need to check.
Because I can see there are many books available for Head First, but I'm not sure for the edition.
I think it's the fourth one, fourth edition.
Okay. Thanks, sir.
No problem. Yes, comparatively, Head First is cheaper. I mean, to be frank, I have never Googled it. I'm looking at it for the first time now. Head First is much more cheaper compared to Rita Mulcahy. But again, I found Rita Mulcahy much more helpful. What I have been given an understanding that Rita Mulcahy comes as a whole package. It also has some tools and softwares and blah, blah, blah for your complete preparation, which you do not necessarily need every time because you already have that those kind of resources from Techcanvass since you have signed up for this class. So what I would say is if you are sure that you want to go with Rita Mulcahy, but you do not want to spend that much money, one option is taking, purchasing the Kindle edition. You can read through your mobile app, your mobile Kindle app, if you download the Kindle edition, or you can go to your local market and you can ask for a second-hand copy of the 10th edition, which is very easily available. And it will be cheaper also. So you do have these options.
The editions of the books, please.
So Rita is 10th edition. Head First is the 4th edition.
Thank you.
Coming back to the domains. So why do we have only 3 domains specifically? First of all, when we initiate a project, right? When we start working on a project, before the project starts, we create the team. We create the project team, starting with the project manager himself or herself, correct? The sponsor or the leadership is the one who identifies a project manager based on the project charter document. Project charter is when your project is formally authorized and the project manager is assigned with the roles and responsibilities and resources to be applied to that project. Till then, the project manager does not exist, right? Once the project manager is identified, the project manager starts working on creating the project team. So that is where your team creation starts. So that is the people domain. Once that team creation has been completed, the project is initiated, the process domain kicks in. Now, while you're doing the project execution, you are doing the work of for the project to eventually complete and present the deliverables to the customer. You are going through the processes domain. Then again, coming back to whether your deliverables are met, whether you will eventually be able to meet the acceptance criteria of the customer or not, any kind of resource management related issue, stakeholder management related issue, resource management related issue. All right. Again, we will go back to the people domain. And where are we executing this project? We are executing this project in an organization and for an organization. Now, these business domains, it can be your tools that we use for executing the project, the softwares or the environments, right? It can be environment based on the performing organization. It can be an environment from the customer organization. It can be an environment where you are actually executing the project. You know, environments such as if you are specifically talking about construction related environment or you know, petrochemical related environment, wherein you are out in the open. Even that is your business environment. That is your project environment, right? So everything put together, this is how it has been brought. This is how all the domains have been divided by PMI now. Previously, they used to talk about initiating the project as a single domain, and under initiating, whatever tasks you are performing, that comes under initiating. But now they have changed the approach. So that is something that you need to understand when you are preparing for the examination. Okay, that is something that you need to keep in mind, where and how the flow is going. All right. Now, talking about methodology, around 50% of the PMP questions are based on the agile or hybrid methodology, and 50% of the questions are coming from predictive methodology. Now, who can tell me what is the other name for predictive methodology?
Waterfall.
Waterfall.
Absolutely. What is the other name for agile methodology?
It's an approach of iterative plus incremental approach. Combination of iterative plus incremental.
Yes. So it is iterative as well as incremental. Most of the times we refer to it as iterative, but incremental is absolutely correct to be used. Right? We should give the increments also their due importance when we're talking about the methodologies. Absolutely correct. And then we have the hybrid, wherein certain phases or certain portions of the projects are being executed using one particular methodology and other parts are being executed using some other type of methodology. I mean, the remaining type of methodology. Okay, so 50-50%, 50% from predictive, 50% from agile or hybrid put together. Now, how the exam is designed. First of all, you get 230 minutes for completing the certification examination. And for 230 minutes, you have to solve 180 questions. So 230 divided by 180. You get around 1 minute 27 seconds for cracking every single question. Which, if the complexity of the question is not too much, is a decent time. If the complexity of the question or if the length of the question is too much, in that case, you might end up using half of its time just to read and understand what the question is asking you. So you have to build up that pace. That is why your mock tests and your practice tests are so important. Again, you have those resources available to you from Techcanvass as well. Correct? So 230 minutes is roughly around 4 hours, 3 hours, 50 minutes. Out of these 180 questions, 5 questions will be unscored. But you will not know which 5 questions those are. Considering there is no negative marking, I would say attempt every single question that you come across. Okay? Do not leave any question unanswered. When you're answering a question, if you are not 100% confident about the answer that you are marking, you can flag it, you can bookmark it, you can come back to that particular question at a later point in time if you have time available. All right? But do not leave any questions unmarked. Now, why these 5 questions are unscored? Any idea?
Because they want to assess the candidate's knowledge of all the areas without necessarily exposing which questions would be unscored. So basically, the candidate would have to attach the same level of attention to every single question?
So they can score the remaining 5 also. What's the big deal?
For future development of exams.
Right. So it is basically for maintaining and updating their question database. So these 5 questions will not be scored, but they will analyze these questions as to how the candidates are understanding and answering these questions. If they see that majority of the candidates who have been presented with this particular question have been able to understand the question properly and eventually mark it correctly or incorrectly, whatever is the intent, then they will add it in the database, because the PMP question database keeps on getting updated. These 180 questions come out of a single set of roughly around 3,000 to 4,000 questions. Out of those 3,000 or 4,000 questions, randomly 180 questions are presented to you. Nobody knows which questions they will be. Right? So this 3,000, 4,000 question bank which remains, at any given point in time, let's say there are 100 candidates. So this much of questions will be over within 2 or 3 days only. So for PMI to keep updating and keep expanding the database, they keep on presenting new questions from the PMI contributors. Right? These contributors create their own questions and present it to PMI. PMI present those questions to the actual candidates and they do not mark them. And based on the output, intended output of those questions are either added in the database or they are removed. That is the reason why these unscored questions are there. Now, after the first 90 questions, you get an option of taking a 10-minute break, which is not deducted from your total examination time. But if in case you take this break or not, okay, whatever be the case, you cannot go back to those 90 questions again. So please be careful when you're taking the break. You should complete all those questions and then only take the break, because you do not have the option of going back again. All right. If in case you take the break and you do not come back on time, the clock will automatically, the time will automatically be run over and your remaining time will be deducted from your actual examination time. So if you take a 10-minute break and you come back after 12 minutes, those 2 minutes are going to go away from your available 230 minutes. So please be careful. And especially if you're taking the examination from a center, in that case, every time you leave your seat and you come back, there's a thorough checking and validation and identification process, which takes time, which itself takes around 10 minutes of time, or maybe 5 minutes of time. So please keep that into consideration. Try to not take a break if possible. So these kind of things you need to prepare your body for, your mind for, because after a certain point you start getting restless. At least I used to get restless. Right? Now, what type of questions you can encounter? You can encounter single choice questions. You can encounter MCQs, multiple choice questions. You can encounter match the pair kind of questions, and then you can encounter hotspot kind of questions. Right? So hotspot I have already explained you about. Single choice questions are generally questions where out of the given options you have to just that instead of drag and drop, there are multiple options. You have to click on one particular option, or just like that graph I showed you. You have to click where it is meeting the baseline. The project performance is meeting the baseline. Those type of questions, and then match the pair on one's table. ABCD is given on the second table. 1, 2, 3, 4 is given. You have to match them. Please remember that the exam is tough. Okay, that is the reason why PMP certification holds so much of importance, because the exam is tough. Okay, always remember you need to wear the PMI hat. Always try and think what PMI says. Because what happens is, oh, sorry, not calc. What happens is PMI talks about guardrails within which you can execute. You can do something, you can do here, you can do here, whatever. But you should not go outside these guardrails. So when you are trying to solve the questions, think about these guardrails. That is important for you to know. Not essentially what your organization is doing is within these guardrails. They are doing according to their own business requirements and their own understanding of things. So that is the reason why I said you need to unlearn certain situations, unlearn certain concepts or aspects. Right? So always try and think of the question from a PMI standpoint. Lastly, there will be real life scenarios. I'll give you a question which I encountered in my PMP examination. Okay. You are a project manager of constructing a bridge across two shores of a river. This river joins the sea in the next 1.5 kilometers. To shorten the distance of travel, this bridge is being constructed, which is going to impact the whole population of the city. Now, one of your contractors who is supposed to ship you the raw material via the sea route has informed you that there is a tornado in that particular region, in their region, because of which the shipment will be delayed by a month. What action you should initiate with respect to communicating to your stakeholders? This is the question. Now, when you start reading the question, first of all, you are a project manager, well and good. You are constructing a bridge, well and good. Your supplier has informed you about a delay. You immediately go to schedule management. You start thinking about timelines, right? Or you get confused between whether this is a schedule management question or whether this is a procurement management question. Then you read the next line and it says that how would you communicate to your stakeholders? Now you are thinking whether this is a communication management question or this is a stakeholder management question. Isn't it? These kind of real life scenario questions are there in PMP. They confuse you to the core. But only if you are thorough with your concepts and logics and reasoning, you will be able to crack those questions. Now, who can tell me what is the potential correct answer? I don't remember all the options that were given, but who can tell me what might be the potential correct answer here? Or what would you do in this scenario based on what is the question asked?
Communicating to the stakeholder about the delay, along with the options, likewise, if there can be alternate route or we can procure the material from another vendor, if that we have kept it as a backup plan.
Okay, but if there is another vendor available, why wouldn't you have gone to that vendor at the first place?
No, just as a backup plan for sometimes. Likewise, we are having a vendor for short-term supplies, or in case if a thing is not available, just for that.
Okay, fair enough. Any other answers?
Basically, I'll say that, this risk should have been highlighted or, should have been thought about earlier. I mean, during the inception phase or during the scope management of the project, maybe. Basically that, any condition could happen. It's a sea, right? There could be tornado, there could be lightning, lot of things could be there. Okay.
Absolutely.
So basically risk, it should have been highlighted in the risk management part that, that this particular risk can happen, that we may not have supply of raw materials. Okay. Now, having said that, there must be in that case some kind of like we had to see in our risk, document, let us say this document, I don't remember the exact name, that what is the action which was planned in this scenario. Maybe we already have an inventory for, let us say 15, 20, or maybe or a month of raw material we can use at that. So that is one thing. So I think communication to the stakeholder should come that, okay, this risk for which the probability was that has already happened. Okay, now we already have an inventory, which I hope we have, that, that we have an inventory, we can, use this, and, now we can get the material in after a month. That's how I think situation should be taken forward. And of course, a more future scenario on that is that we have to again fulfill our inventory as well. So that is, but later, I don't think that's important for the scope.
Okay. So the document that you are referring to, that is the risk register.
Yeah, risk register, correct. Yeah.
Any other answers? Fair enough, Abhinav. From the thing is that why I am asking you guys to think about this is because I would also get an understanding where you stand at this point in time from your thought process point of view. Okay, so that it makes it easier for me to connect with that thought process as we move forward with this content. All right. Any other answers? Yeah, Rupal, please go on.
So basically, the first thing that I would do is like communicate the delays to the stakeholder right away, and also be in control of the actual delay, like the materials not arriving on time, and stay on top of it, and basically communicate it in a positive way that we're trying our best and this is gonna get done even though it's delayed.
Right. Any other answers? Yeah, Raj, please go on.
Yeah, communicating with the stakeholders would be the first thing to do, and the other thing is, since the raw material is not arriving, is there any way how the existing resources on board can be utilized until that time? Is there any other alternatives that we can do to not waste the resources on board? So divert them with some other thing.
Correct. Okay. Now, Raj, your hand is still up.
Okay.
Okay. Now the thing is, think from this aspect or think from this reasoning of PMI. First of all, the question does not say that there is any impact because of the delay. It is our assumption that there will be an impact because of the delay. Like what Abhinav was mentioning, what if we have already taken this assumption into consideration or taken this risk into consideration, we have already accepted that risk. As a project manager, it is important for us to initiate actions when required, but at the same time, it is important for us to realize or understand when not to do anything. And you know what was the correct answer for this question? It was communicate to the stakeholders about this update and do nothing. There are situations as per PMI or even in a real life scenario, not based on what is expected by your organization out of a project manager, but based on the reasoning and logic that you sometimes need not do anything. That is an absolutely acceptable response from a project manager.
A bit strange because it's not close to real life scenario, because generally I have seen that, if you go to the stakeholders with only saying that this is the problem, it doesn't work like that. You have to also provide them the solution as well, along with it, the possible solution at least. That's why I said that, look into your risk register, that is this exactly a problem? I mean, if it is not a problem, in that case, do nothing, of course. But if there is a problem, then, look into your inventory and also tell them that, okay, boss, we have like 20 days of material, raw material, we can continue our development of the bridge, but expect a 10 days delay, of course.
Okay. Now, this is the expectation of your stakeholder. This is not the expectation of PMI. That is the difference. PMI says if there is no impact, why will you initiate any action?
But the question didn't mention that there is no impact, right?
No, the question does not mention that there is an impact. So that is something that you need to realize when you are reading the question, that when there is no impact specified in the question, that means there is no impact.
Means there is a difference between theory and practice.
Yeah. So that is the thing. When you are practicing, even if you ask me this question, as a project manager, I'll do my best to make sure that, you know, whatever alternatives I can provide with or I can come up with, I'll work on that before I reach out to my stakeholders. You know, just to show them that I'm proactive, I'm on top of my things. I'm not sitting here doing nothing. But sometimes PMI says that. So the reason why I'm discussing this question is because there are certain times when our real life understanding is a bit different to what PMI expects us to do. Not necessarily you will encounter this specific question, but you might encounter some other type of question like this. So all I'm trying to say is when you're taking the certification examination, look at the questions from a PMI's understanding point of view. Not trying to demotivate or scare you guys. I'm just saying that there are situations like these, there are questions like these, which you can come across during your PMP certification examination. And at that time, before putting in your practical or before putting in your organizational thinking hat, try to put your PMI hat when you're responding to the questions. Right? Okay. For the first day, a little heavy weight, I believe. But as you move forward, as we move forward through the course content, and when you start preparing and reading the books, you will realize what I'm trying to say at this point in time. At here, it might sound a bit illogical or impractical to you of doing something like this. But as you go on and read the books, you will realize what is expected out of you as a project manager as per PMI. Okay. Now, any further questions on this before the reminder? I'm sure I need not present this reminder again.
Is it like we have to buy the PMBOK, PMBOK, and also the other two documents, other two books that you suggested for the test? So are we supposed to buy all three things?
Not all three. PMBOK and any one of the preparation books.
Okay. And if we register, is registration free on PMI website, or you have to do anything special to register?
No, registration is free, but just by registering, you will not be able to download the book. For downloading the book, you have to buy a membership.
Okay, got it. So rather just go to Amazon and buy the book, right?
No, but the thing is that I'll give you a calculation here. Okay. Let's say this is PMI member, and then this is non-member. So PMP certification for a member costs, I think, 405, I believe. Yeah. And for non-member, it costs $555. Okay. Now, the PMI membership costs $139. And non-member, obviously, it won't cost anything. Now, The total is here 544, correct? And the non-member is 555. You still are getting a $11 discount, even if you purchase the membership. Plus your PMBOK comes for free. And not only PMBOK, there are other material also on PMI website on which becomes free for you, which becomes accessible to you once you take the membership. And this is the first year cost of the membership. The membership is valid for 1 year. Next year again you have to renew that by paying a fees, but it is lesser than 139. So even if you purchase it for just 1 year, it is still beneficial for you. Yeah, Suyogi, you have a question.
So as they have introduced a 7th edition, so is there any mock that we should enroll to other than these suggested books?
Mock tests you're trying to say?
Yes.
They are already there on your LMS. I mean, if it is not there, just check with you, because I'm not sure what are the financials that works with presenting or providing the mock tests to the candidates from Techcanvass. You can check with your course coordinator. The mock tests are available with Techcanvass.
Yes, but I hope that they would be updated as per the 7th edition, because it's applicable from this January only, na? That's I hope. Okay, done. Thank you.
So if I purchase this PMI membership, then I should be able to get all the relevant books, at least the soft copies, right? Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And it is not just the PMBOK. You can download your if you want to just read or prepare for your PGMP moving forward. You can download those books also. You can get access to the white papers. You can get access PMI articles. I mean, the articles which are not available to general public. Those kind of things. There are many more resources which are available. Plus, your local chapters also conduct, events. Even though those events are not free, you need to pay for those specific events if you're going there, physical events. But that improves your networking.
Okay.
So there are many benefits to purchasing a PMI membership.
Yeah. Thanks.
No worries. Suyog, your hand is still up.
I'll raise it down. I'll make it down.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So this was our first topic which we have covered. Before we move to the next topic, let us take a 10-minute break, and it's 8:33. Can we come back at 8:43 or 8:45 if you guys want to?